her psychiatrist was able to relay, information to Christian, and she would tell us. And from that point on, we were just really supportive and patient, and it kind of forced me to be a better listener.
Thank you so much for coming by Us Weekly.
Thank you for having me.
Yeah, no, definitely. And I know that you were here to share a personal story about your sister, but before we get into it, tell me all about her.
My sister?
Yeah.
She is such an inspiration to me. She's always been my little sis, but the way that she has handled, her situation with being diagnosed with schizophrenia when she was 28 is really something else. You know what I mean? She's kind of become the hero of the family, and it's inspiring to me, as I said before, recalling how difficult it was to deal with getting that news, and then realizing where we are now. I think people should know that it's something that you can not only deal with, but people can have full, exciting lives. Yeah. And we didn't realize that at the outset, and we just wanted to kind of make people aware, through this campaign, Live Your Possible. Yes. Yeah. And what's the website is Live Your POSSCZIBLE.com.
I like that.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, what was it like? Because 28 years old, she was obviously living with this for quite some time. Was it a relief when she got the diagnosis, since you knew what it was then, or was it still scary at the same time?
That's a good question. It was. We had a couple of seconds of relief. Yeah. But it seemed so huge to us. Just the word itself, schizophrenia, we didn't know what to think. I didn't know how to treat her, and it was petrifying. And then we had these images of how that is portrayed, on the big and small screen, and it was a trip. What helped settle us was my mother, taking her to the doctor, and then realizing that once she got settled with a great psychiatrist and meds, that was a pathway to calm. Sure. And she, Christian, was such a rock star that she just she was set on that path, and then she just tore it up.
That's great.
I was always, for a while, I was kind of tentative, because she'd tell us that she was climbing this mountain or going on this vacation, and I'd be like, are you sure? But she would always make sure that I felt comfortable and tell me what she was doing and how she was living with the situation, and before you know it, before I knew it, it was like it was like she was fine. Yeah. Yeah. People need to know that they don't have to assume that that this person's life is over. Right. Yeah. You know what I mean? It's a big deal, but it can be handled, and the way my sister is handling it is really great. Yeah.
What were some of the symptoms, or which did you notice symptoms for years before she was diagnosed? Because maybe people wouldn't recognize those symptoms.
Exactly, and especially with relatives, you see them kind of infrequently, and for a while I was just thinking she was in a bad mood. Yeah. When I saw her upset, but then her her behavior. She's usually bubbly and energetic and very active, and she all of a sudden wasn't. Sure. And then the other brothers and sisters, we kind of whisper, And then it got to the point where like let's inquire, and once we did, then it was like, oh my goodness, what's happening? And my first reaction was kind of like I froze. I was used to being the big brother and having control and having pride in being able to give good advice.
Sure,
I'm the oldest. And it was a feeling that I had never felt before. So I didn't know how to react, so I didn't do anything.
Sure, yeah.
I used the excuse of, she probably doesn't want to talk about it. Everybody's talking about it, so I'll just pretend it's it doesn't exist.
Yeah.
And that was the worst thing I could have done.
Right, but I feel like a lot of people probably react that way.
Sure,
too.
it's fear, yeah, and it's much easier when you don't know what to do to not do anything.
Sure.
But thankfully her psychiatrist was able to relay information to Christian, and she would tell us. And from that point on, we were just really supportive and patient, and it kind of forced me to be a better listener. You don't have to necessarily do anything to do something.
Sure, yeah.
And that that's a lesson that I still try to live by today.
Yeah, I think what you said before too is that like even if you're diagnosed with schizophrenia, you can still live a life. And I think that's
100%.
probably maybe one of the biggest misconceptions that a lot of people are like, oh well, life is over or something like that. I mean, can you kind of speak a little bit more to that about how Christian lives her life now?
Yeah, it's I feel embarrassed because the only as an actor I know what is real and what isn't.
Sure, yeah.
But in that case I was using television and the movies as a reference, and it was the worst thing I could have done. I didn't do the research, and I just made the assumption that her life was that she wouldn't be able to do all of the things that normal people do.
Yeah.
Live by herself and hold down a steady job, family functions. I was imagining, everybody whispering about her and me feeling shame and wondering if I was always going to have to be on guard. And and it was none of that.
Yeah.
It was none of that. She figured out how she needed to adjust, how she was living. And, I'm not saying it's all rainbows and birthday cakes. She lost a couple of jobs because it was, too much, but she learned from those experiences, and now she's on point where she knows what her triggers are, and it's just very impressive.
Yeah. How does she feel about you sharing her story?
She's old enough now that, and proud enough of herself that she agrees that people need to realize what's going on out there.
That's great.
Yeah. Yeah, because she'll be at work and she'll share, some of her life with someone, and she sees the reaction that is still there, and she quickly, sets them straight.
Yeah, I love that.
Yeah.
You must be really proud of her.
Yeah. Yeah, it's a little weird because, she was my little sister for so long, but the way that she has handled her life, I look up to her.
Yeah, no, that makes sense.
Yeah.
She must be really proud of you too.
I hope so.
Yeah.
She is.
Yeah. I liked your birthday message that you sent to her the other day. I enjoyed that.
Yeah. It brought the whole family closer together.
Did it?
Yeah.
Yeah. That's great. Yeah. And I'm sure everybody's rallying around.
Yeah.
And, yeah. Does she have a favorite role of yours?
Maybe. She just told me Malibu's Most Wanted, maybe?
Okay.
It's a trip. Yeah. It's a trip.
I love that.
It's so surreal just watching your family become different people.
Sure.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And people that you think are cool. When we shot the campaign, it was me, her, and her sister, Shalom.
Okay.
And we were like at dinner just talking like adults.
Yeah.
And I was like, look at you, look at y'all.
Right.
You have opinions and you're really smart, and I'm learning from them. So that's a trip.
Like, look how far we come. Right? So crazy. How do they all feel about you bearing all for the full Monty coming up?
Oh, Lord. They don't know. I'd be forgetting what. I didn't even realize that you told me. Oh, my goodness. I got to do that. That's going to be on AV.
Yeah, it is. Jeez. Are you ready?
No.
No?
No.
What can you kind of tease about it? Do you have to get yourself, like, in... I mean, obviously you're in great shape already, but like when... Like
I thought I was until that. Until that. But I was pleasantly surprised. I wasn't pleasantly surprised. That whole experience was like an acting exercise. Mm-hmm. Because you hear it, you know, I assumed we were going to learn to dance. And
sure.
Then, but the choreographer like literally worked with us and how we, you know, moved inside our body, how confident we were, you know, and how to break through, you know, blocks. So I was learning, you know what I mean? We were sharing, you know, insecure moments, you know, that we've had to deal with, and it was a really interesting, and we learned a lot about each other and ourselves. Okay. And I thought it was just a cute,
right,
you know, thing to do to support cancer.
Sure. Yeah. It's funny when you go into experiences not expecting the total opposite comes out
exactly.
of it. Yeah.
That's another situation where I made assumptions.
Sure.
And it was the exact opposite.
Yeah. Do you feel like when you have to do roles like that, do you take on like extreme workouts and dieting and things like that, or
Absolutely not.
No,
I didn't do it this time. I was just busy enough. You know, I found out about it really, really late.
Okay.
But now I'm to the age where it's like, if I don't have to.
Sure, yeah.
And I gotta change. I gotta change that because, you know, we gotta stay right. I got kids and stuff.
Yeah.
So,
mm-hmm. I know a lot of fans were excited to hear that you are returning to All American.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. You're like, what am I about to say?
Yeah.
Are you excited about
cool.
that?
Yeah. Yeah. That
already shot. Already.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah. I don't know when it comes out, but that was great. That was one of the best jobs I've ever had, and to go back and see everybody was a reminder that how lucky I've been.
Yeah, I mean, how can you tease that? Obviously, because your character had passed, so is it kind of just checking in on everybody?
Yeah,
in a way.
It's in a way where it's not like a flashback, but I leave everybody these little kind of gifts, these little kind of symbols so cool. that kind of, you know, will help them hopefully be better people and not think that my death was in vain. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Yeah, I gotta check that out.
Yeah, definitely. You know, we spoke not too long ago about parenting, and obviously your son is in like those teenage stages, and you said the most challenging, the most rewarding thing at this point in parenting is these adult conversations that you're having. What are some of those adult conversations that you have that, you know, that are challenging? And because I'm sure at this stage of parenting, it's got to be a weird place to navigate sometimes. It is.
And this is something that I learned from Christian's situation. For me to not feel the need to like parent, you know what I mean? Because I was brought up with, you know, hearing, you know, hundreds of speeches from my dad and my mom. And, you know, I told you not to do this, and when I was young, and now that it didn't work then. So now when I find myself wanting to have, you know, a teaching moment with Walker, I do the opposite, and ask him how he feels.
Sure, yeah.
And it's been great because he doesn't get a chance to make me feel stupid by ignoring me or making fun of me, and but it also lets me know how he's doing. And I think, you know, I don't think there's enough of that in parenting. Just parents checking in, as opposed to trying to fix or, you know, reminding or, and that's been great because now he feels really comfortable with me.
That's a testament to you that he trusts you to.
Yes,
talk.
That's huge, really, really huge. But it gets a little dicey because he's so smart and he's starting to, you know, work out. And He's amazing at basketball, and he's got a great work ethic. So he fools us into thinking we can speak to him like an adult.
Sure, yeah.
We'll see movies and we'll discuss movies. But he's still a kid emotionally. So if he starts to get a little sassy, I gotta step back and not get sassy back.
Sure, yeah.
Because he's going through stuff and he's learning. So I want to give him that space to figure it out.
No, definitely. Like, got to navigate and learning those hard life lessons. Has he ever had to deal with? I know he's probably like not dating yet, but is he?
He's in there.
He's getting there. Have you had to help him overcome heartbreak in any way, whether that be dating or in school and things like that? And how do you kind of figure that out?
That's another thing.
Yeah.
To see your blood. So, he had 2 dogs die in like 6 months, and after the second dog died, he texted me, "Why does this keep happening to me?" And that was one of those moments where I didn't know what to do.
To say, yeah.
So I just was like, "I'm sorry, I'm here if you want to talk." But that was a learning. I wanted to do something so bad, but there was nothing to do.
Sure.
And oftentimes when people are in that situation, they do something wrong. Just trying to do something, you know what I mean? So I just calmed down and was there for him, and it sucked, but I didn't mess it up. You know what I mean? I didn't mess it up.
You're like, parenting win. I did it.
Yeah, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Yeah. I still felt like I was doing nothing, but it worked. Just me connecting,
right,
and giving him a space to more. That's another thing I'll do is try to get him to see the other side of things.
Sure, yeah.
But that's not what you want a lot of times. A lot of times if you feel a certain way, you just want to feel that way.
Yeah.
So I've stopped doing that.